It's games from Netflix, games that I think Netflix could develop, based on their own IPs, obviously. So, to take this video with a grain of salt, nothing in this video is confirmed. It's just me discussing what I would like to see Netflix make using their own IPs. So let's begin. So first of all, obviously, I want a game based on China Chocolate Factory. I think doing like a tycoon simulator game for that would be great. You know, because it's China Chocolate Factory. He doesn't love China Chocolate Factory. You know, classic British story by Roald Dahl. Netflix owns the rights to it. Obviously, Netflix is doing an animated TV show based on it. So to me, it just makes sense. You know, it's an IP that many people know and many people do love. So, you know, would we see that? I don't know, but I'd like to. Obviously, it'd be kind of big because obviously Netflix is focusing on mobile games at the minute, so we could potentially see it and then lead on something bigger, like maybe an action adventure game where you're saving Charlie's Chocolate Factory or something. I don't know. Now, the second IP I want to see Netflix do a game with is BoJack Horseman. Now, BoJack Horseman might be harder because BoJack Horseman ended in 2020. Obviously, to a lot of people, it's a dead show, dead franchise. But I kind of feel like we could see Netflix do like a spin-off sort of with BoJack Horseman, where like we investigate, well not investigate, but like say we play as Hollyhock and he's gone missing and we've got to save him, or where we're a new celebrity and we need to get advice from BoJack, and BoJack's basically training us to become a movie star. We don't know what Netflix could do. Netflix could do something like that, and it'd be great. You know, plus it add a lot of variety to Netflix games because Netflix games currently, in my opinion, guys, they need to add a lot more to their variety because especially like Netflix first party stuff, it's just kind of feels kind of samey at the minute. Then again, Netflix only released 5 games from their own IPs and whatnot, so we'll have to wait and see. So another game I want to see is obviously I want to see a game like basically a game where you play through the events of the Matilda book, because obviously Matilda's like one of Roald Dahl's best works. So seeing a game basically based on Matilda where you play through the story and you have to like dodge the abuse from her father and all that sort of stuff, it'd be fun. I think it'd be great as well because obviously Netflix games to me can need some more kid-friendly games that aren't like country friends. Now, personally, would we see it? I don't know. Once again, none of these games are confirmed. These are just games I would like to see Netflix make. Obviously, another game would obviously be like a game based on the Babysitter franchise, because Netflix has these like Babysitter, Killer Queen, all sorts of stuff, horror movies on Netflix. Which just, if you're a horror fan, they're worth a watch. They're like a good little slasher. Not as good as say the original Friday the 13th, but they're still pretty good. But to me, I think Netflix should do like a horror game where you're like running from the babysitter, or another thing they could do is where you play as the babysitter and you hunt down the enemies. It's kind of like what they did with the Friday the 13th game. But obviously, I don't think you can buy that game anymore. So I think it'd be a good get if Netflix decided, hey, we're gonna make our own version of it using our own IP. Which is once again, guys, one thing I do want to stress about a lot with this channel is I do want Netflix to do more with their own IPs, because Netflix has a huge library of IP. They develop basically whatever they wanted. Another game I'd like to see is a game based on the Magic Order. Now, why the Magic Order? Well, the Magic Order was obviously like wizards and that, so if we can see like magic sort of gameplay, that'd be a fun third-person adventure game. Where you play through the events of the game using different magic and whatnot. Similar to what we've seen in like Harry Potter games in the past. That'd be fun. Now, this other one I want to mention is obviously might be a bit controversial because obviously like it would be kind of working on a show that Netflix kind of killed, and that's Jupiter's Legacy. Now, Jupiter's Legacy is obviously based on a comic series. It only ran for 1 season, but the comic's got 9 issues. Well, I think it's 9 issues including the spin-off. So, to me, personally, I think obviously the show's cancelled. You might as well finish the show in the game, and yeah, it would follow Netflix's whole cross-media, cross-promotion sort of initiative with certain IPs, because obviously it's based on a comic that, well, it's based on a TV show, it's based on a comic that the show obviously was cancelled, so they didn't finish it in the game. I think that'd be a good little way to also build up interest for other Millarworld properties Netflix now owns. Another one I'd like to see is obviously, I'd love to see a game based on Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm not sure actually what's going on with that film because, well, not that film, like that IP, because obviously Netflix acquired the whole Roald Dahl estate, and every press release, not press release, every person I saw reporting it mentioned about Fantastic Mr. Fox not being included in the deal. I don't know why. Like, I think what happened with that was obviously they meant the film rights because obviously I believe Disney still got the rights to it for a certain period of time. Obviously, I don't know, but that could be why. Now, one more IP I would like to see is obviously Netflix do something like with I don't really know what to say, like Kid Cosmic and a few of the Netflix kids stuff, because obviously Netflix has a ton of kids shows, but they haven't really got any games on Netflix games for kids. You can't even access games on a Netflix kids profile. So I think it'd be kind of cool to see Netflix go in. It's like Netflix Animation make games based on stuff like the Sea Beast, or games based on Kid Cosmic, or City of Ghosts. There's quite a few different games they could make. Well, different IPs they could make into games. Obviously, little platformers, action beat 'em ups, all that sort of stuff. And it obviously also depends on like what the genre of the content actually is, because Netflix games, for instance, kind of I don't know if they lack, but like they could do so much more with genres. Like they could have you know games based on, or they could have beat 'em ups, they could have horror games, they could have platformers, they could have all sorts, and that's what they could do with a lot of their IPs. Now, I do want to say, none of these games I've mentioned in this video are confirmed. These are just my personal picks for IPs I want to see Netflix turn into games. And I will say, I also do hope we see something like Oxenfree 2 on Netflix next year. I don't know how likely that is, right? And obviously Netflix is obviously in the process of doing cloud gaming, so we might see more fully fledged like console-like experiences and whatnot. It's just it all comes down to what Netflix wants to do, what Netflix decides to do. Obviously, I have no say in what Netflix does and what they don't do. I have no say in what Netflix does do. You know what I'm saying? To me personally, I just kind of feel like Netflix could do a lot more and could potentially even, you know, come out swinging with a ton of games within their IP. Uh, but we don't know. We don't know what Netflix is going to do. Netflix obviously has their own cards to play. They have their own plans. Obviously, they don't really necessarily acknowledge that they want to be a big player in games, but we don't know exactly what they're going to do. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the description, or not in the description, in the comments down below. What games would you like to see Netflix make? Or what IPs would you like to see Netflix make games of? I personally obviously want to see the ones listed in the video. Personally, my favourite ones would be obviously one based on Matilda, and obviously Chinatown Factory. Obviously, I also love to see something like City of Ghosts or Kid Cosmic get a game. Obviously, we'll most probably see a lot more Stranger Things related titles, because Stranger Things is obviously Netflix's biggest IP that we know of. We could also probably see something related to Squid Game, to be fair, because Squid Game is still pretty huge. It all comes down to whatever Netflix wants to make, though. Obviously, they can contract third-party studios to make the games. They can make them themselves within their own first-party studios. It's all comes down to what they want to do. I can't obviously say what they're going to do, because obviously I don't know. So hopefully we will see Netflix come out swinging in 2023 with something big, something unique. Because obviously we're seeing stuff like based on Money Heist and stuff based on a load of different IPs from Netflix. So to me, I just kind of feel like it makes sense for Netflix to focus on their own stuff, because they could potentially blow it up. They could potentially become a major player in gaming if they play their games all smart and don't really try to compete on the same levels like Microsoft and that. They could just be like, okay, we're gonna make games for the player. We're gonna make games that feel like additional content to what we already offer. And personally, I think Netflix games is in a good position because Netflix has tons of different IP they can utilize. They have tons of different franchises. They have tons of different options as well, because they have 223 million subscribers worldwide. So they could easily, and I do mean just easily, take on big dogs. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what Netflix comes out with. So hopefully in 2023 we see something big from Netflix with some of these IPs, or any other IPs Netflix owns, because they own a lot of IPs. So we could potentially see them do so much. So you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you want to see Netflix make into a game based on their own IP catalog? Let me know in the comments, obviously. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like the video, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.